Good evening, and welcome once again to the Variable Y Minute. I'm your host, the Variable Y. I thank you so much again for joining me. And we are at the Monday show, so you know we're going to talk about the main sports topics. And of course, it's the fall, I guess, even though it can get up to about 90 degrees here in Atlanta. So we're going to talk about some football. Some big takeaways from this football weekend. A couple of big ones, actually. Number one, they're undefeated, but I don't think they're for real. But we'll roll with it. The 49ers are undefeated, and everybody's talking about them. So I guess we got to give them credit where credit is due. I'm not really sold on their quarterback. I don't think they have a wide receiver to speak of, even though they have a great tight end. They have a running back got by committee, which means that it can be real nice and cute right now, but I'm a firm believer in you got to have at least one guy who's going to get most of your carries, if not one guy who gets most of your carries and another guy who splits time, maybe a 75-25 split. But apparently their defense is pretty good. Now, they haven't really played great teams, but hey, they've made it through a quarter of the season and they're undefeated. So we got to give them credit here. So that's a big deal. And they won a big game against the Rams, who we all thought would be a great team. And lo and behold, look where they are. So I guess that's really the big takeaway. Again, I wanted to give them a shout out because not too many people are really expecting them or really saying that they're for real. And I'm not saying they're for real because they're going to get put out of the playoffs, even if they make it. I'm sure they won't make it, but whatever. We'll get back to that later on. But I did want to give them some credit. But I think the biggest takeaway, at least for me this week, is that there are a lot of teams, maybe 4 or 5 teams that we thought would be in a lot better position than what they really are. Like, let's start with the game we were just talking about, the LA Rams. The Rams are now 3-3. They won their first 3 games, and then they came back and they've lost the next 3 games. And even in the first 3 games that they won, they didn't really look like a great team. They really didn't convince you that they were the team to beat. They didn't really convince you that they were the defending NFC champions and that they would be back in the Super Bowl. They actually kind of looked like the team that was in the Super Bowl, a team that didn't really look like they could move the ball. They didn't really look like they were a threat to score any points. They're just a team that could march up and down the field. Now, when they played the Rams, they looked awesome. They looked like a well-oiled machine. They looked like they could run through anybody. But let's not forget that was the game that the Rams, I'm sorry, when they played the Saints. My bad. But let's not forget that was a game where Drew Brees hurt his thumb. So that could be a lot of the reason why they look so good is because the Saints just lost their Hall of Fame quarterback and they were kind of reeling. But now look at the Saints. They haven't lost a game since that Rams game. And you got the Cowboys who, again, started off 3-0, and now they're 3-3, and they've lost 3 games pretty inexplicably. You can't lose to the Jets. The Jets aren't a good team. And I know everybody's saying, oh, well, they've got Sam Darnold back, so now they're a great team. I'm still not sold on Sam Darnold as a good quarterback. I mean, I think he can make good throws. He can make a good throw every now and again. He can make a good throw once a game. But a full game, like even yesterday, he didn't look great. He just made one great throw. And then after that, he was decent. Like he wasn't terrible, but I'm still not sold on this guy. And for somebody who I thought was really making the next step and who I thought was about to get broke the hell off, it looks like he fell the hell off. Dak, man, buddy, I think now it's time to go to the negotiation table and just take whatever they give you, because if you cannot look any better than you did, and in these last 3 weeks, again, you've looked like everything that they said you were. Like going into it, I thought, hey, Dak's a pretty good quarterback. He's won all of these games as quarterback. He's got playoff wins, so he's further along than Carson Wentz, who they just paid a lot of money to. And I mean, do we really think that Do we really think that Jared Goff is better than him? Golf is better than him. I say golf. Golf is better than him. I would say no. So now's the time for you to strike while the iron is hot. But yeah, these last 3 weeks, he has not been looking good. Not that any of those other three guys look good either, but this is not about them. This is about him trying to get some money. So I would say go back to the negotiating table and just take 35 the 36 that they're going to give you and call it a day, man, because the one thing that those other two guys have that you don't have, their teams have made the Super Bowl. Unless you can get your team to the Super Bowl, I don't think you can go to the negotiating table with any leverage whatsoever. So those are a couple of things I wanted to bring up. And lastly, just because I'm here, I gotta say this. Yeah, I think it's time for Dan Quinn. I think it's time. And honestly, I like Dan Quinn a lot. I think that he has stabilized his team, the Falcons, after Mike Smith was let go. But man, how do you have a defense coordinator whose defenses always look bad? How do you have a defense coordinator whose defenses always look so predictable? How do you have a defensive coordinator whose defenses scare nobody? Can't that can't be. You can't have that. So as much as it pains me to say, because again, I think that he's perfect for this team, and I think that he's done a lot for this team. Took us to a Super Bowl, but it's time to go, man. I'm sorry. That's how I crumble sometimes. But anyway, guys, again, this is Variable Wide Minute. We've gone a little bit long today, but that's okay. I had a couple of things I wanted to get off my chest. And join us tomorrow where we're going to talk about a couple of secondary stories. I may be able to squeeze a couple of things in there. We may get some baseball in there because we got some playoff baseball and it's heating up. So we could definitely squeeze some playoff baseball into there tomorrow and just see wherever else we go, see what pops up in the sports realm, maybe even outside of sports. But until then, once again, thank you guys so much. Leave any comments you would like. If they're negative, not going to pay attention to them. Have a great night. Thank you.